Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I appreciate the opportunity of being here. I want to talk about just a couple things. One is, and I think first I should say, I know people who find the drugs helpful, and I think adults should have access to them. I think people should be told the truth about them, including that there are other approaches that work far better for many people without the serious health effects that they cause. And so I'm with the Law Project for Psychiatric Rights, PsychRights, and our mission is to mount a strategic litigation campaign against forced psychiatric drugging and electroshock around the country. Now, there's no, of course, forced electroshock in Alaska. But I think it's really important to recognize what has happened with this pervasive use of psychiatric drugs. And I've handed out this book to members of the board, Anatomy of an Epidemic, which really goes through the societal impacts of this massive reliance on psychiatric drugs as the first and essentially the only approach for most people. And one thing that's happened is that people are dying. People diagnosed with serious mental illness in the public mental health system are dying 25 years earlier than the general population now. And it used to be that right around 1900, there was a study done by Dr. David Healy that people in the psychiatric institutes had normal lifespans. And then with the advent of the first generation of neuroleptics in the mid-50s, the lifespan went down about 10 to 15 years. And now with the advent of the second generation of neuroleptics, which we know cause massive amounts of diabetes and other metabolic problems, cardiac problems, etc. And on top of that, the polypharmacy, the use of multiple drugs at the same time, we're now seeing people die 25 years earlier. And to me, it just speaks volumes that there's not an outcry about that this segment of the population are just, their value is so little that this is an acceptable outcome. I think that's an outrage. The other thing that, and this is all documented here, and it's with basically the psychiatric industry's own study, is that these drugs, while they knock down symptoms in the short term, they dramatically reduce recovery in the long term. And so, for example, in Finland, the open dialogue approach, they see 80% of the people, and they've essentially eliminated the diagnosis of schizophrenia in this part of Lapland, because as you know, you need a diagnosis for have those symptoms for 6 months before you get that diagnosis, and people aren't doing that. So, but 80% basically recover, and there's 80% basically are not on neuroleptics. Now, that's not complete overlap, but that's basically what they've found. So the last thing I want to talk about the societal impacts is that the disability rate of people where the disability is marked down for people that they have a psychiatric diagnosis has increased 6 times on a per capita basis since the introduction of the so-called miracle drug Thorazine in the mid-1950s. Now, I don't think all of that's attributable to the drugs, but it's clear that a lot of it is. Okay, I know, I see you're looking at your watch. So there's one other. Well, if I might just go on for another couple minutes and talk about one other thing, which is this massive increase of bipolar disorder and rapid cycling bipolar disorder is unprecedented. It's absolutely new, and it's very clear that it's caused by this massive use of the SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, antidepressants, and to maybe a lesser extent the stimulants in children and youth, and now adults. And people have manic reactions. Some people do, and it's between 5 and 10%, have manic reactions to those drugs, and then they get diagnosed with bipolar disorder rather than just withdraw the drugs, and they go down that path. And you never saw this rapid cycling bipolar disorder before. Again, and that I want to switch to another topic, which is rights. And I have this one copy. It's available on our website, PsychRights.org. A law review article I wrote, Involuntary Commitment, Enforced Psychiatric Drugging in the Trial Courts, Rights Violations as a Matter of Course. Thanks, Julie. And it goes through what I see as kind of this institutional, basically disregard of people's rights. And that's got all kinds of negative impacts, not just in that people's rights are being violated, but it's really got a lot of therapeutic impacts. And Faith talked about her case a little bit, and Dr. Lauren Mosier testified in her case, and he was the chief of schizophrenia research at the National Institute of Mental Health in the 70s. And in his testimony, he said that in all his years of practice, that while he could conceive of someone being about to commit grievous harm, and he would call the police, of course, that he had never had to involuntarily commit because he made it a point to establish a relationship with the patient so that he didn't have to do that. And I think the way it is now, it's just so easy to force people that that's not done. The other thing I'd like to say about his testimony is I asked him if he'd been had much experience with people who were psychotic and not on psychiatric drugs, and he said, "Oh my Lord, I've probably been with more unmedicated psychotics than anybody alive today." And then he said, "And I find them among my most interesting customers." And I think that's kind of, to my mind, that's really a very good approach to take. Is people are going through things, this chemical imbalance theory, brain defect theory has never been proven, and people just are going through things, and we should help them get through that. Thank you.